Cassie Jordan here with Reline Solutions, sitting down today with Brett Eckert to talk about why I decided to venture out on my own and start Reline Solutions and ask Brett to get involved. So I'm very excited about this opportunity and hope you guys are as well.
So I wore my Interflow shirt today so I could sit here and give an interview and then do a discussion with Cassie Jordan. So thanks for coming out, Cassie. This is actually kind of your podcast / interview studio now. So I'm kind of invading your territory, but I figured it'd be good for us to sit down and chat.
Hey, at least the logo colors didn't change much.
I know, exactly. We went back to Interflow.
Back to the blue.
From blue to black and red, back to blue.
Right.
But in all reality, I mean, it's been a crazy, what's going on, 2 years? Since
2.5.
Yeah, 2.5, which is even crazier. August, right? It feels like August of 2019.
18. I know.
Man.
You're a year off.
August of 2018, you and my wife, we've been friends for a long time, and I kind of recruited you to come over to the dark side of the pipe business. And at the time, we had just bought a company in Indiana. We'd been operating it for about 5 months, and we needed some leadership. We needed somebody with a hustle attitude, and I knew you. I knew of you. We spent some time together.
Attitude.
I knew you had a good attitude, and you had some hustle to you. So I said, hey, why don't you come take a look at this business, come discuss it, and come see if it's something you want to get involved in. And you were in the tech industry at that time. So tell me what made the Reline industry, what made that specific business, which was Interflow at the time, attractive enough for you to leave the tech industry and come hang out in the pipe world.
Which I never thought I would say I was hanging out in, but yes.
I
mean, I think you kind of pitched me or, talked to me about it in a way that it's going to be something I've never done, right? I've never ran a manufacturing plant. I've never ran OSHA regulations, let alone cost of goods sold, all that sort of stuff. That was just completely outside of my norm. I was in marketing. I was in tech. I was in working with distributors and resellers, which I ultimately did do with Interflow. But I had to worry about all the other things, right? At the end of the day, what were the profit and losses? Employees, like I said, the OSHA stuff, flipping forklifts. I mean, I learned a lot.
Yeah. A full manufacturing company. I mean, at that time, we were manufacturing our own slip line, solid wall HDPE product, Interflow. Yep. We bought it from a great couple, Chris and Tamara Weishart, who are super knowledgeable and are super knowledgeable on the product and the slip line world in general. Everything slip line. I learned a crazy amount from both of them, Chris especially. And so I can't thank them enough for giving us the opportunity. And then for you to come into that world and just kind of take it over and full manufacturing facility and sales. I knew at that point that you had the chutzpah or whatever to go get it done. So,
well, and it was, it was fun to see Interflow grow so fast and so quick. Obviously, that's, it ended up being why we were acquired because we had the numbers and, we hurt the competition enough to shut us down. But it was a learning experience. When we opened the second plant, I was excited about that, but I also knew that would probably further progress. Either somebody was going to quickly acquire us, or we were, like you said, we were just going to go balls to the walls, and we were going to hit it hard, right? Yeah. And then that led to TV Pipe Solutions. So I think the big thing with TV Pipe Solutions, and I know you and I are going to talk about this more, but that started my gaining more Reline experience, not just HDPE, bell and spigot, solid wall pipe, which is what I focused on with Interflow. I focused on that was my market, that was my competition, right? And then TV Pipe Solutions really opened us up to what else is out there in the Reline world. We're not just hanging our hat on one product anymore like we were with Interflow.
Correct.
So
yeah, and that's the beauty of like where you're at today, and we can speak on that. All the products that you guys are offering now. But when we were Interflow and then we were TV Pipe Solutions, we were very focused on solid wall, profile wall, HDPE, and one of the reasons why that I think it made sense for us to create Reline Pipe Solutions is, I didn't say it right.
Well,
cut that out, Sage.
That was a big that was a big discussion on what the name should be.
Exactly. So one of the reasons that we created Pipe Reline Solutions, and you were convinced that this was a good business for you to own, operate, and run, was you felt like there was more solutions to offer.
Yeah.
I think than just solid wall HDP and profile wall HDP.
Yeah. I think in the last year, just especially, and I'm not going to say COVID was the reason, but I think it really pushed that Reline Live. So when I started that, because all of our shows were canceled, all of our trips were canceled, nobody wanted us to go out and do lunch and learns at engineering firms. So we started that Reline Live series, which really brought me to call manufacturers of all sorts and all kinds that were doing anything in the Reline market. And then I learned more and more and more, right? Especially from my other counterparts around the country as well. So I think that opens your eyes to there is not just one solution that fits all problems. There's lots of problems that need lots of solutions. And I think what I love about what we're doing is we're not a manufacturer pushing one product that's going to fit or not fit, but we need to sell it because that's what we manufacture, right?
Yes.
We're an unbiased opinion in the market. We will come out and do pipe inspections. You can send us videos. And I've referred to companies I don't even get commissions off of.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's not always a product that I even rep that's going to fit. And I will happily pass you along to the right company. Because at the end of the day, I want you to call me on all your projects and know that I'm going to point you in the right direction, whether I get paid on it or not. Right.
And that's the big thing. That's why, I mean, solutions is in the name. It's not necessarily a solution that you may sell, but we want to get you the right solution because at some point you're going to run into a problem that you do sell that product, or you do sell a couple products that may fit that. So in 2020, it was a crazy year. We decided to get this started in 2021. What impact do you feel 2020 had on projects upcoming in 2021, 2022?
Well, because of what happened, I think in February and March with the, COVID hitting the country so fast, and it kind of, started on the east and spread to us in the west, everything sort of went to a halt, especially in some of the states who have big infrastructure in our territory, Oregon with the Portland metro area, Seattle area. I mean, so a lot of those areas ended up just halting projects. And for 6 months, it's like we just went dark, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think then the realization of fall hit, and all of a sudden now you're in winter. You need to get these projects done before the water comes back in the spring. So we're seeing a huge uptick already in the first month of this year of we got to get this done. We can't wait any longer on the infrastructure repairs because now they're becoming emergency job repairs, which cost you a lot more than if you had planned for them and stayed ahead of it. So
is that like one of the big components of your business is trying to make people aware that if you find the solution to your problem early, you can stop some of the emergency road closures, all the stuff that's going on.
Yes. Not only that, you can plan better. I mean, we had one job that it ended up being a rush job. They put it out to bid and they needed to get it done before the snow season. This was in Colorado because it was a major road, it was a major culvert under a road going to one of the ski mountains. They could not detour traffic for that. So what did they end up doing? They ended up having to spend way more on the material because they didn't have a choice of 5 manufacturers because the 4 that they could have used maybe couldn't get it done in time. They were 10-week lead time because there is COVID and it is slowing some of the manufacturing down. Not to mention some of the transportation has slowed down because of the demand on trucking, as you know.
Yes.
So they ended up with one option and one option only, and that cost them a lot more to get the material to get it done before October.
So on some of your projects and some of the stuff you're quoting today, are you guys running into lead times? Are the lead times starting to get better as far as the various products that you guys are
No, not really. Lead times haven't changed since about last summer. Depending on the product, your lead times can still be 6 to 10 weeks.
So it's smart to get on these projects and really start figuring out what your options are, and if you do feel like there's something going on out there, that you need to get on it early.
Yeah, and the sooner we work with even the engineering firms, if they're going to specify a product and we know that the product is going to be the product for the job, even maybe if we don't have a PO in hand, that manufacturer can know it's coming. So we can still sort of, wager our bets, or whatever that term is, like hedge our bets.
There you go. Hedge it.
Yeah. So we know that, we have that coming. So that helps us a lot. And we do try and work with the engineering firms at first, opportunity to know what's coming down the pipeline. For especially big projects, I'm budgeting stuff for 2023 already because they're multi-million-dollar projects. They're going to be capital budget expenditures, so they have to be put in and approved long in advance.
Budgeted for, and probably money allocated over a 1 or 2, 3 year span.
Exactly.
To get those projects done before they become emergency projects.
Right. Before you start having I-5 highway failures, you can't have a freeway that runs along the entire West Coast collapse.
Yeah.
So that's why they're already looking ahead, knowing that there's structural damage or structural repairs needed, and they need to even if it's just, hey, let's fix under I-5, then we can fix the other portion the next year. Let's get one done this summer and one done this spring, so that they can start phasing the planning on that and budgeting.
So, flashing all the way back to, say, 2018, when you came into the pipe industry, the Reline industry, coming from the tech industry, and you hear these crazy stats like 9%, of females in construction, or whatever that number is today. Did it give you any pause, or did you like the challenge? What was the driving force for you?
The tech world is heavily men, but not necessarily in the marketing world that I ran in, right? Marketing is probably more female, or at least 50-50. Versus the sales side typically tends to be more men. I think if anything, you and I have talked about this over beers, but if anything, if I call or you call, are they going to talk to me, or are they going to talk to you?
Yeah, there's definitely I'm not. Yeah.
So I wasn't afraid in that regard at all. If anything, I was probably more fearful that my lack of knowledge, even a woman that's been in this 10 years or 20 years, which I have now come across lots of those, whether they're engineers or they've just been in construction since they came out of college or whatever, or in trade school, and they know way more than I'm going to know. So that's, the inferior part of it is what scares you more than I think even what sex you are coming into construction.
So how did you overcome that?
I just have to admit when I don't know. Because there's no harm in saying, hey, I've been doing this 2.5 years. You've been doing this 20. You know better than me, probably. So I'm going to give you the small amount I know. You share your knowledge with me. And then if we can't figure it out together, we'll go find the right person that can.
Yeah.
There is no, even starting Pipe Reline Solutions isn't that we know everything. It's that we know we don't know everything. We'll go find an answer. We're going to go help you whenever we can.
Yeah. So what is the advantage for somebody to deal with Pipe Reline Solutions versus somebody else out there?
Well, so that's where I think we're very different, is we don't align ourselves with just one manufacturer. We don't just promote one product. We don't work for a manufacturer. We work for many manufacturers. So, and the cool thing is, in the last year, we have brought on 10 more manufacturers that we had never worked with. Like you and I said, we got started with Interflow and then SnapTight, and then it's exploded from there. The other thing is we're very different. We are not a pure reseller distributor. And there are tons out there that do a great job. You can call Core & Main, you can call Ferguson. They stock the PVC pipes, and they stock the double wall HDPEs, and they can do that. But if you're calling them to ask about what pipe reline solution they can use, not I can't say it, a consulting firm, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to go out and do a pipe inspection with you and say, here's all the Reline products we have. They're going to probably call, they're going to go, hey, yeah, I think we have a couple of products that we can, sell to you, but it's not a consulting situation where they get with the engineer early or they get with the contractor and literally walk through the trenches. That's the difference. We do that. That's who we are. And that's not part of our fee. It's not something we charge. It's how we build customers.
So it's a very niche business.
Yeah.
So it's a very niche in the fact that it's there just to help you find a way to extend the life of your existing pipe, regardless of the size, regardless of what year it was put in or how wore out it is. It's very niche.
And if rip and replace is the cheaper and most economical option, we will tell you. We're not, and then again, like even if we don't rep a product and it's still the right product, we are going to pass you along and take a pat on the back and a beer from that guy the next time he's in town.
Yeah.
That's just because we want you to have the right product in so that you don't have to go through this again and have a bad experience.
And leading someone the right direction initially, even if it's not a product that you necessarily sell or rep. If they're in charge of if they're manage a certain geographical area, then there is at some point going to be a pipe or something that they are going to need replaced by a product that you actually rep, right?
Yeah, or repaired, or they're going to need, you're building a customer base because I'm learning in this industry, it is small. You start to know the engineers, you start to know the construction companies that do that type of work or the construction companies that want to do that kind of work.
Yeah.
And they're trying to build a business around it. So I think that's really exciting too, is that there are contractors out there who are seeing that Reline has some good opportunity in it versus just being straight excavation.
Yeah.
So
I think those are people that know me, know I'm big. I'll bet a lot of money on the jockey, not necessarily the horse. And like one of the reasons why I felt good about this investment into you, into your company, was because I believe in the jockey. The idea, a lot of people can go out there and sell Reline products or whatever, but you still got to have a certain amount of hustle. You still got to have a certain amount of grit and knowledge in this industry. So, from your standpoint, where do you see this going for yourself, and what is the advantage of being a woman-owned business in this environment?
So, that's funny. Someone else asked me that yesterday when we announced it on LinkedIn. What was the reason to go woman-owned? I don't even fully know yet. I think that there's.
And then you just wanted to own it.
Well, right.
Boss, right.
It's mine now,
yeah.
right? I don't report to the man anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know, because obviously I have spent months now doing research on what opportunities are out there, whether it's federal, whether it's the state level. So time will tell really if this brings us into opportunities we didn't have before, right? But still, at the end of the day, it's my baby, right? It's like you and I talked. It's my everyday. It's what I live and breathe. It's what keeps me up at night. And now that pressure's on me to make sure I find the right solutions, make sure I have the best team I can possibly have, make sure I make the right call when to add team members, and when to add manufacturers, and am I getting back to the customer? Am I giving them the right solution? Am I doing everything I possibly can to make their life easier? So that's, like I said, the women-owned thing is really cool, and I think everyone likes to see the underdog to some degree because there's not a lot of us in the industry, right?
For sure.
But how it's going to benefit us long term is
still comes back down to hustle. It still comes back down to the individual, male or female.
Yeah.
I think it still comes back down to the jockey whipping the horse and making it go.
Right.
Do you have the skill set to make it go? And I believe you do, or else we wouldn't be sitting here today.
And I've got a good, like I said on LinkedIn, I think I've got the right support system. Mm-hmm. I've got you. I've met so many great industry experts over the last 2.5 years that I feel like when I don't know, I think I have the Rolodex of who to call.
Yeah.
And they're going to help me figure it out. and they pick up the phone, and that's what matters is I can be not knowledgeable in something, and they're okay helping me and guiding me through it.
Yeah.
So
from an engineer standpoint, how does an engineer that's curious on about how to they've got a pipe or they've got something that they want to look at, how does an engineer get a hold of you?
How do they get a hold of me?
Where do they get your information? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, so my information, all my email, my phone is on pipelinesolutions.com. It's cassie.jordan@pipelinesolutions.com. My email is pretty easy to remember. Or you can just call my cell, 503-784-2547.
Be careful about giving that one out.
I'm a little nervous about that now. Sage, you might have to cut that out.
Yeah, we might have to edit that, Sage. 8675309.
Michael is my right-hand man in this whole company, and he just did a lunch and learn with an engineering firm today. That kid's killing it. He's doing we're doing a lot of remote stuff, but we're happy to do it. We don't mind doing 20 minutes, 45 minutes, however, as many questions as you guys can think to ask us. We'll answer them to the best of our knowledge. But we like doing that so we can go over all the products we manufacture and then throw other questions out at us or that we represent that are manufactured by other people. But you can throw questions out at us that we may not represent, and we'll go get the information for you.
So we used to be very regional with TV Pipe Solutions. What is your territory now for Pipe Reline Solutions?
So basically think of us as the Northwest all the way to the Midwest. We cover Washington, Oregon, all the way down to Nevada. We do not cover California, but down to Nevada, and then we go all the way east to the Dakotas.
Okay.
So if that gives you a general idea, we cover about a 10-state territory.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can ask you.
Infrastructure.
Okay.
What do you,
as far as what do I feel? Do you want me to ask? Where do you feel? What question around infrastructure? I guess.
I emailed it to you this morning. How did I word it? If you saw that sheet,
I do.
It was like.
Actually, I have it right here.
So little infrastructure spending. So there was a big article that ACSE put out.
It says, how do you agree with with some that are saying a failure to address inadequacies in U.S. infrastructure could stifle economic growth? That one?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to word it just like that, but
no, I'll figure out a way. Do you want me to? We kind of already covered that differentiates the company from the other pipe suppliers in the market.
Yes.
Right. Because you basically said we are. Okay.
Hold on, this is driving me crazy.
Okay.
I gotta look this up real quick. Oh, it's ASCE. Gosh, Cassie. Yep. Okay. I just was saying it. I had it backward. American Society of Civil Engineers. Okay. That's what I had to.
So you and I were discussing here a little bit ago about infrastructure and why we're so keen on this business and this industry. And taking out 2020 where a lot of infrastructure got kind of poo-pooed and put aside for a while, do you feel like because there's been kind of a lack of interest in promoting infrastructure rehabilitation, whether it's bridges or pipes, over the last probably 10 years, do you see that as a benefit to the new company? And B, do you see that as something that's that could cost this economy, this country, big money going forward?
Yeah, there was an article that just came out from the American Society of Civil Engineers that is a huge research study over the next 10 to 15 years of what it will cost our country if they don't start addressing infrastructure. And when you say infrastructure, it's not just a bridge collapsing, right? It's not just potholes on a highway. You're talking as those roads, if they don't get repaired, if we don't repair potable water lines, storm sewer lines, sewer lines. If any of those things go down, you shut down the infrastructure around it, which shuts down or slows down manufacturing plants moving product. Can you imagine if those had been going down and COVID, where people couldn't even get toilet paper to grocery stores, we couldn't get face masks fast enough or hand sanitizer, and that slowed the entire trucking company down already without infrastructure problems. So their research basically says this country will lose trillions of dollars over the next 10 years if they're not willing to spend the billions that are needed right now. And so that gives us hope in our industry that the politicians, I don't care what side of the political line you're on, are going to look at this and say, this is an independent engineering organization that has looked at this in depth and said, here is where we're failing as a country, and here's what we've got to fix. And we've got to fix it to keep jobs. It'll actually produce more jobs with infrastructure repair. There's just a whole, and it will help the economy. It'll stimulate it. And they are saying the aftermath of COVID is they are going to start pumping that money into infrastructure to bring those jobs, the high-paying jobs. When you're looking at federal jobs or even federally funded state jobs, the prevailing wages now are very high wages. There's a lot of money to be made in those. Yeah. So there's got to be an uptick for all of us. It
goes back to the old saying that was an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? I mean, just the preventing it from becoming a big issue down the road is worth the money spent now. And coming from a background in the transportation industry, I mean, this nation was built on our infrastructure. I mean, the reason that we have the highway system and whatever and everything that links from the rail to the highway is what makes America great. I mean, and I think that's a big thing that we need to address.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. And that this article is a very long article about it, but it really dives into what this country needs to do and what's wrong with our current infrastructure that has to be addressed. So that gives us, I think, a lot of hope on the next 10 years of what we are going to see, because there is a lot of failing infrastructure. You go east and you see infrastructure that's 200 years old, but I mean, the state of Idaho, where you and I reside, is over 100 years old. Yeah. So just since it was incorporated, there's got to be issues already that have to be addressed.
And that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to sell some pipes.
Exactly. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. America's aging underground infrastructure will need to be dealt with in the upcoming years. Our mission with Reline Unknown is to help individuals and organizations gain insight into the pipe, reline, and infrastructure world and help process the key decision, reline or replace. Thank you for listening.